Welcome to Women's Wellness Wednesdays. I'm Kelli. I'm at the Women's Center in Branson. We're going to do Q&A today. We got some questions in about the menstrual cycle specifically, so we thought we would just try to answer some of those quickly for you. Absolutely. I think the women's body, it's very influenced by our environment. So it could be emotional stress, it could be physical stress, but we know a lot of women, especially if they're not on anything for birth control that's controlling that cycle, if they're really just on their own, that your body can get influenced and you can miss a period, you can have irregular bleeding during a month. And so we always try to talk to our girls about, like what's going on in your life. So the answer to that is yes. I don't want to say is it normal, but all women, if you ask them, will tell you, oh, my period's really light and it's only 5 days. My period's 7 days long and the first 2 days I just feel like I'm flooding. What I will tell you is blood outside the body clots. And so when a lot of women describe that, they actually notice the clots the most when they sit down to go to the restroom, because the clots will actually collect up around the cervix, and then when you go to the restroom, they kind of come out. So, some clotting is expected. I think if you're passing huge, clots and that's how much bleeding you're having, you really need to talk to someone, because that's just too much bleeding. So we did do a video previously on discharge specifically, if anybody wants to really kind of get into that. But mid-cycle is when you're ovulating, and so the discharge changes and it becomes that sticky, stringy, clear. It's almost like it's got elastic in it. It's called spimbarking, and that is ovulatory mucus. You quickly transition from that after you ovulate to a milky white discharge, but it's completely normal. Again, we did an entire video on menstrual cramps if anybody wants to go back and watch that, because we kind of dove in a little deeper. But Tylenol really won't work. You need to use non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, and those include Advil, Motrin, Aleve, and ibuprofen. You can take, some women can just take, say, 400 milligrams every 6 to 8 hours of the ibuprofen products. Aleve is an every 12-hour dosing, so sometimes that's easier for women to remember because it's only 2 times a day. Other women feel like they need to pop up to 600 milligrams or even 800 milligrams, especially the first couple of days of their period when it's the worst, and then they back that dose off as the period starts to go away.
How much bleeding is too much?
So a lot of women come to you and they say, I've always had these heavy, awful periods. Kind of the reference point if you're trying to decide if you're bleeding too much is, 1, stop using a tampon and put a pad on. But if you are completely filling a large pad every 30 minutes, that's too much bleeding. So if you can put that pad on and you don't have to change it for a few hours, that's not considered too much bleeding. So I hope that helped by answering some questions, and I hope you guys have a great day.